with that down, let's move on to main topic number 4. Alou, what is our 4th main topic today?
Main topic number 4 comes to us from Jordan Warner. Greetings, Campea crew. I've just read that the higher-ups at Disney have directed Lucasfilm to stop making film announcements along with their respective creatives attached. It makes sense since none of their announced movies appear to come to fruition, with their announced movies being either put on hold, mentioned once and then never mentioned again, or just canceled outright. Does this seem like the right decision? I think so. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Jordan. And yeah, look, let me just preface everything I'm going to say with 2 things. One, if there was a sports-like Hall of Fame for Hollywood, I think Kathleen Kennedy is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Steven Spielberg calls her the most gifted producer in Hollywood history. I don't know if I would call her that, but she's right up there. Her resume is second to none. And I was all for her selection as being the new leader of Lucasfilm when George Lucas selected her. I was all for it because her resume was impeccable. I no longer think that this is the right job for her. You guys know that I've said this for a couple of years now, that I think there's just been a number of things that have shown that this is not the right job for her. That being said, we also as fans have to keep in mind that a lot of times these reports and everything that come out in big trades like the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, The Wrap, Deadline, things like that, are not announcements that Lucasfilm has made. There's been a lot of stories that have come out and say, well, they announced this. Well, actually, technically, no, they didn't announce it. What happened is that the scoopers of Variety, through their contacts, discovered some stuff and they did a report about it, but they didn't announce it. But still, you can't get away from the fact that there are a number of movie products that Kathleen Kennedy has straight up announced.
Too many
and
times.
We are sitting here going, well, where are any of them? This comes to us from the folks over at StarWarsNews.net. They wrote the following, and this is good. Listen to this. Ever since The Rise of Skywalker premiered in theaters back in 2019, Kathleen Kennedy has announced 2 live-action Star Wars movies. On May 4th of 2020, the company released the official statement saying that Taika Waititi would be co-writing and directing a new film set in the galaxy far, far away. It's been 2.5 years, and the movie is still not written. Later that year, on December 10th, it was also announced that Patty Jenkins will be directing Rogue Squadron. Now, that project is on the back burner. As a result, Puck News is saying that Disney CEO Bob Chapek has advised Kathleen Kennedy to stop announcing projects until they are set in stone to avoid further negative press surrounding the franchise and the company. And again, that comes to us from StarWarsNews.net. And everybody here knows that I am the founding member of the Bob Chapek fan club. Quite the opposite. I don't like Bob Chapek. But this is absolute wisdom coming from Paycheck. This is absolute wisdom. He's absolutely right. This whole thing of getting out ahead of yourself. And I'll tell you what, Christian, this has been, and again, I have nothing but good things to say about Kathleen Kennedy outside of her role as head of Lucasfilm, okay? Hall of Famer, absolutely to me. But this is the calling card of the Kathleen Kennedy-led Lucasfilm, getting too far ahead of herself. And I'm not just talking about announcements, right? Before the announcements of all these projects start to fall apart, I jokingly said before, this is some DC shit going on here. But before even that, she has developed and built a reputation that she gets far too ahead of herself in even selecting directors and writers, because I think 1 out of every 2.3, I did the math once, of the projects they announced, she lost a director or a writer. Where somebody like Kevin Feige, with this, let's say 1 out of every 7 or 8. Which is more normal for Hollywood standards. So she would hire filmmakers that she had no idea if she was on the same page with or not, eventually have to lose them. That's happened 4 or 5 or 6 times. And then, hey, Taika Waititi, we need some good press. Taika Waititi's doing this thing. Is it actually set? No, but we'll announce it anyway. And then it leaves us as Star Wars fans going, what's going on? And you combine that with the fact of getting ahead of yourself. We're going back now to some old gripes, okay? Old gripes here. As much as I love The Force Awakens, as we moved through that new trilogy and we got to the end of The Rise of Skywalker, we realized, there was never a plan for this trilogy. They never actually had this trilogy planned out. They were flying by the seat of their pants every single time. And Christian, it is, especially as somebody who is as big of a fan of Kathleen Kennedy as I am, and I think she can step out of Lucasfilm, go back and keep producing hits. The reality has been incredibly frustrating watching what seems like a directionless, rudderless, getting ahead of ourselves, which makes you look reactionary than anything else, rather than, if you look across the hallway at the Disney lot, a Kevin Feige who is meticulous, planned. Hey, listen, even though I haven't been the biggest fan of Phase 4, still a lot of stuff in Phase 4 I like. Kevin Feige is a detailed oriented, planning years in advance, making sure every piece fits together properly, making sure he's picking filmmakers that he can work with, all that kind of stuff. It's such a contrast. And again, I want to give credit where it's due. Kathleen Kennedy has also shepherded some big, big wins over there, whether that's a Rogue One, Mandalorian, things like that. I love the first of the trilogy of The Force Awakens, but hearing this is no surprise. And yeah, I think Disney and Bob Chapek, they're absolutely right to step in and say, what's going on? Now, I've already heard some people saying, well, this is good because I don't want them to rush. It's been 3 years. Rushing is 3 weeks. That's rushing. 3 years isn't rushing, and 3 years isn't being patient. 3 years is being negligent. 3 years is, my God, we have botched this so badly. It's frustrating to me. Anyway, Christian, bring some sanity to this. You hear about this report that apparently Paycheck told her, listen, you got to stop making these announcements until we're ready to shoot these things. What do you think about this report, and what do you take away from it? Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, True Classic. This brand new sponsor has the absolute best fitting t-shirts that a man can buy. Finding the right t-shirt with a little bit of a dad bod is incredibly frustrating. Most t-shirts are either way too tight on your gut or look way too big and boxy. You're not in high school anymore, and it's time to upgrade. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men finally get a better fit at an affordable price. And the John Campea Show viewers and listeners get access to the best deal they offer. For a limited time only, get 25% off using the code CAMPEA at trueclassic.com. Look, you and I both know that almost all of men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six-packs. But let's be honest, that's not most of us. True Classic tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt that you can always confidently throw on. Like most of you guys, ever since college, I've always struggled to find proper fitting t-shirts that are comfortable. Well, True Classic, from the moment I put on the shirt they sent me, solves it. And True Classic doesn't just stop at tees. From polos and workout shirts with the same flattering fit. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com with the promo code CAMPEA. Free shipping included on purchases over $100. 100% risk-free guarantee with a 30-day refund policy. Stay classy with True Classic. Your dad bod will thank you.
Well, first of all, I want Paycheck and Zoloff to go on a comedy tour.
Paycheck and Zoloff.
Yeah, but what I will say is there's a lot. There's a lot here. I agree with you that I think that Kathleen Kennedy has a lot of producer wins. She is a really great producer overall. Great producer doesn't mean great head of a company.
Agreed.
And I think that one of the main reasons also is that I think we're going to see the difference in her producing, because I believe that the new Indiana Jones is going to be magical. I think it's going to be magical.
Well, look who they got directing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think she's going to get the win for that. But those are the types of movies that Kathleen Kennedy should be producing. And they are kind of like a one-off. They are these things that don't have to necessarily, when you go, she wants it both ways in the way that I look at it, where you know she's going to have these meetings like, well, let's do what Marvel's doing. Marvel went out there and they announced this, and we have this whole big thing, what we're going to do, and we'll get the good directors and we'll do that. But she goes through this old school way with Star Wars that you can't do. And that's, as you said, no plan for the new trilogy. It was J.J. Abrams. People love J.J. People are going to get a lot of excitement around it, and then hopefully we can get him to sign on for another one. Oh, he can't. He's not busy. Well, Ryan, what do you want to do? All right, Ryan, go ahead and do your thing. Oh, nobody liked his movie? Well, J.J., change it up. Do it. Oh, wait, Colin Trevorrow, you're part of it? No, we want J.J. back, so see you later. And it's like, and then the stuff that happened with Lord and Miller. Gareth Edwards, who, let's call it what it was. Tony Gilroy directed that movie. Otherwise, where's he been?
And don't forget about Josh Trank.
I was going to say Josh Trank. There's so many different things that have happened that way because, as you said, because Josh Trank was coming off of a Chronicle or whatever it was. Yeah. He's great, hot director. People love him. I do think, and what should be said is, I think if she's gonna stick around through Lucasfilm, she should be running the film division the way she's running the television division, right? Because, and I think that and I'm going to say this, and I believe it. She's not a Star Wars fan. Does she believe in the product? Of course she does, but she's not a Star Wars fan. The difference is like someone like a Kevin Feige. If you bring up Secret Wars to Kevin Feige, he'll talk to you for about 3 hours. If you bring up Darth Bane to Kathleen Kennedy, you think she's going to have an hour-long conversation with you about the inner workings of Darth Bane? No. Is that a requirement? No, it's not. But I think it's important at this point in the stage because it's a matter of what you're releasing. And I think that you've got to pay attention to what people are wanting outside of it in the film portion, what we're talking about here. If you don't release something, they said, oh yeah, Taika's movie's coming out in 2023. No, it's not. Don't say that. It's going to come out in 2020. You don't know when it's coming out. That movie's not even going to be the next one. And they're smart. That's why you're getting all this press now with Damon Lindelof, because Lindelof will be the one. I'm going to guess that's the one that they're going to launch with. It's going to be in a more serious tone.
Absolutely, the next one
has to be the one. Has to be, because you have the most. Because with Lindelof can develop that. Taika's doing 7,000 different things right now. You got to have someone that's focused in on it and wants to fire in and do it, and Lindelof will be that guy. Lindelof, now that they have the director attached, this to me seems the most realistic thing that we've talked about. Still, they didn't announce this one. This one wasn't announced. This one
got leaked.
This one got leaked. I mean, Snyder reported on this like months ago, but it wasn't released. When they finally do, it should be, as they say in this report, it should be ready to go and tell us everything about it, tell us casting, release it that way, because I just don't think that the plan there's been no plan. It's been super sloppy. And I agree with Paycheck Chapek Lajishkek that you should stop until we have something.
And there was some speculation going, because she said back in May, she said, no, it might have been March. She said back in March, I'll have some movie announcements to make in the next couple of months.
Right.
And that was going to coincide with D23. No, you're right, Celebration.
Yeah.
And of course, they didn't say anything, because that's probably when Bob stepped in and said, listen,
stop doing
unless everything is on the dotted line, I's or dotted T's are crossed, stop telling people stuff.
No one takes it serious anymore. Every time you look at if you say that, I can't even tell you how many times a commenter or if you say, a report comes out that so-and-so's in a movie, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah,
that comes out. That's all of the time.
Rob, you're hearing this thing. Apparently, they're stepping in and telling, look, you got to stop making these announcements, whatever. We've gone now 3 years, not only without a Star Wars movie, we've gone 3 years without even a Star Wars movie going into production. And we don't know when it's going to happen. Anyway, what do you think about this story?
Well, I keep thinking about what I've always told like independent filmmakers.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. No. Don't put your project on the IMDb until it's shot. Mm-hmm. There's no reason that I want my name on the IMDb. Don't do it. Once your movie is shot and it's in the can, then put it on the IMDb, because then it's real. I can't tell you. I've been on projects on the IMDb still that haven't ever been made. I hate that. I don't know why Disney or Lucasfilm even feels the need to announce projects before they're made. Like, I understand the industry wants to report on it. They'll leak. They should just say, hey, you know what? When we're ready to announce something, we will. Shoot it. Go out and make it. Don't say anything. It's Star Wars or Marvel. You don't have to tell anybody shit. Make your movie. I think it has been damaging to the brand. Michelle Rejwan, who was Kathleen Kennedy's right-hand person, stepped down. Deadline
She was the senior vice president of physical production.
Senior vice president of production. She's gone. She's probably tired because they weren't making anything. I mean, they were making TV shows. She's producing The Acolyte. She's a producer on Andor. She probably wanted to make things. That's what she
kind of directly shepherded Acolyte.
Yeah,
up to this.
So
point.
She's now going off and producing that. This Damon Lindelof project was the direct result of a writer's workshop that began this summer. So he's working on this with another writer, which wasn't reported in this leak, from what I understand. I don't know the name of that writer.
A name has now come out. I can't remember who it was.
So they had developed that, which I can see like, we've got, because no one else has a script. So they have an idea. They probably actually wrote a draft of that script. It turned out great. They're like, okay, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Damon Lindelof's work, but obviously, some of the stuff he's done for TV especially has been quite good. His feature work, I mean, he wrote Tomorrowland. Disney's probably like, really? Do we have to have him come back? But okay. So he's doing this. They've got a script. They probably workshopped it, which is something you need to do. It's done. They hire a director that has directed some features, interesting features. She's won Academy Awards, both in documentary work and short film work. She's won 6 Emmys or something.
She's in the Disney house, having just done Ms. Marvel.
And done Ms. Marvel. And by the way, she's Pakistani Canadian. good Canadian.
Well, then you automatically know it's going to work.
You know, I'm so she's been an activist. So I would imagine that she probably has something interesting to bring to the Star Wars universe. So that makes sense to me. But I'm like, why do you have to announce anything? You're Star Wars. Just make it. Don't announce it. It just like you said, it looks ridiculous that they keep saying these things. Of course, this news did not come directly from Disney. They didn't announce like, here's our next project. It kind of leaked.
Yeah.
But I mean, they made a video with Patty Jenkins,
Right.
on an airstrip with
Yeah.
an actual,
Yeah.
CGI of an X-wing
She
fighter.
said Taika was doing a movie like 6 months ago. It was coming out in 2023. It's like, no, it's not.
Taika Waititi, the guy is now an Oscar winner for an original script he wrote. He doesn't need to make a Star Wars movie. I know everyone thinks, Star Wars should be there. Look, I just think Lucasfilm should only have to announce these things once they're real.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? There's been a lot of talk, very little action when it comes to Star Wars. It's been years since the movie project. Lots of things announced, very few things materialized. What do you think about this story? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there.